Welcome to another episode of the Laundry Room. Wow, some people are still on their phone. It's good to be back with you once again. So, um, First, I'd like to introduce myself. Matthew Warner, the co-creator of this show. I have with me Miss Nicole Tolan.
Yep, Nicole Tolan here, be a part of the show.
And Dominique Samuels, you can call me Meek for short.
All right, just so one of the things I want people to do is to kind of get a little more familiar with who we are.
Yeah.
So if you could tell people what you do and like one reason why you are participating in this show.
Okay. Well, for myself, what don't I do, man? I'm a substitute teacher. I'm also an audio engineer. So I work in like recording studios. My passion is just working on music and I'm working in the audio field. I just like making things sound good and just being creative and try to just help brings people ideas to light. And so the reason why I participate in the show is because I like the topic and I think we're able to have good, fun conversation. Plus it's a new, fresh start for somebody like me who's not really a very visual person in a sense. Like I don't really do a lot of like a lot of talking and things like that. I like be seen, so it's kind of an outlet for me to be a little more expose myself a little more.
Right. I think this is kind of weird, a new space for me too.
That's awesome. Again, Nicole, I work in insurance, health insurance, life insurance. For employers, I also have a pure romance business. I'm also a pharmacy technician. I don't know, it's probably a lot of other hats that I wear, but my intention for joining this podcast was to, of course, have a voice, and the intent of it was for us to have a voice in our own community, for us to be heard, and to help uplift others was something that I wanted to be a part of. And I was thinking about starting my own podcast about the dating, so this kind of came in right on
point. Awesome. We're definitely going to be joining that podcast as well. That sounds pretty interesting. Again, my name is Matthew Warner, and this podcast or idea came to me as I talk to so many young people on a regular basis. I am a administrator at a high school in Washington, D.C. myself. I've loved kids for, I think, a little while after I graduated when, I started working at a daycare center and then got the opportunity to work in a high school as well. But without the professional credentials, there aren't many opportunities for you to help young people on a large scale. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to do so. I love this space because I can be 100% myself. And that's it. It's a pleasure to be able to do this. It's a great opportunity, and now we're going to get into something a little less heavy. So
the first thing we're going to talk about, right?
Yes.
I'm excited to hear this. You have something special for us.
Yes. So tomorrow is tonight's the premiere of the Black Panther movie, and we're all super excited about that. I'm dressed in all black today. I couldn't find a dashiki or anything to wear, so again, I have on my necklace from Zambia and my bracelet from Liberia, West Africa. I've been on this kind of Black Panther wave all week, and I was on Instagram today and I found this poem, and Nicole and I read it earlier today. I thought it was hilarious. It's called Black Panther Eve, and it's by Lee Edward Colston II. It reads, "'Twas the night before Black Panther, and all through the hood, not a Negro was ice grilling, or wishing a nigga would. The black joy was electric and hung in the air, in the hopes that T'Challa soon would be there. The chicken was fried and platters all packed, 'cause we know at the movies we ain't paying for snacks. With his new Jordans polished and her eyebrows on fleek, 'cause Keisha and Tyrone got their outfits last week. Black beauty and excellence, so hype I can't hide it. But I don't see color," said Amy. "Bye, Becky, you tried it. We'll be dressed to slay, no matter the weather. And if you get in our way, we will get you together. Been needing this joy, yes, me and my fam. And if you try to block it, you can catch these hands." So all of our black people wearing dashikis, kente, or leather, let no one block your black joy, 'cause Wakanda forever.
Oh no, that's wild.
Thought that was dope. I thought that was dope. So, have plans been finalized for the movie?
Like I said, I just got some tickets on reserve, just in case I want to go. You know, like I said, you can always refund them if you just can't get the right situation with them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I got some on reserve just in case for tomorrow.
Nice.
Friday.
But,
Nice. I'm not going until Sunday. I know the hype isn't going to die down by then, but I'm going early Sunday, so I'm hoping that I can get in and enjoy the movie.
Are you going Sunday morning?
Sunday.
People, that's church.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a church service.
absolutely, absolutely,
I'm praying
absolutely.
they're going to be at church
absolutely.
so I can enjoy the movie.
That's everybody's church service.
No, that's
Yeah.
gonna be church.
You guys can hit church up early. Like, all right, let's go.
So, I actually get the opportunity to go with my school. My school, Friendship Public Charter Schools, is sponsoring all of their high school and middle school students to go see the movie tomorrow morning. So I'll be at that premiere, and then my wife and I are going during our Valentine's Day weekend on Saturday at one of the earlier morning shows.
Okay.
Going to be dope. Like at the Hoffman, thought it would be. But yeah, it's super duper excited about that. Again, as I reminded everybody in the live video, please go see that this weekend.
Are the kids dressing up tomorrow? They dressing up in
The kids, not the kids. Oh, the kids there. I hope they will. Like, I'm sure a lot of them don't really know a lot about the Black Panther movement, probably outside of.
I'm just saying they just dressing up in, like, you know, the Black Power and just anything, like in costumes or anything like that. Just anything Black Panther.
I don't know. They do wear uniforms on a
So
regular
maybe-
basis. So
Right.
they're actually out of school tomorrow.
Okay.
Like, so this is a voluntary trip for them. Like,
Gotcha,
if they
gotcha,
want to go,
gotcha.
they can go. If they
Right,
don't
right.
want to go, they don't have to. But it's gonna be such a popular movie. If you can go see it for free, why not?
Exactly.
Like,
Shoot,
that's the reason why I wanted to
The
go.
way movies nowadays, shoot.
$13, $14. No good. So, Nicole and I kind of shared stories already, but I guess we can again. Wanted to do a recap from Valentine's Day, which was yesterday. Did you do it?
Not yesterday, nah. Didn't do it. I just worked.
Just work?
Yeah.
Okay. Any special plans for the weekend?
No, I got more studio work.
Oh.
I'm booked up, so, you know.
Nice. Valentine's Day was good. I enjoyed it.
What you do, girl? What you do? He got you your favorite flower?
Oh man, so
This-
yeah, I know who I am, how I am. Okay, so we went to Saks downtown. It's like a live burlesque show for dinner, and that was pretty interesting. I thought that that was. I mean, it was fun to me. I'm very much an open-minded person, so that was enjoyable. I didn't expect the burlesque show. I just thought we were going for dinner, which was great. The food was good.
Mm-hmm.
The show was wonderful. I mean, there was fire. There was people taking off clothes, provocative dancing. They came at your table. You know, it was enjoyable. So then that, you know, that was nice. That was awesome. And I got flowers and a tremendous amount of balloons. Nice.
So I kind of like bought one balloon
Okay.
and a dozen roses, which, you know, just kind of kept it simple for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Since it fell in the middle of the week, this weekend will be a lot more special to include, once again, the Black Panther movie. Yeah, that's definitely part of the plans. So we've done that, but the main part of today's show is 10 myths, or not necessarily 10, because we don't have to limit it to 10, but myths and misconceptions of the Black community or Black America. This is Black History Month, so that's one reason for the topic, but not only for that reason, this podcast and show will be covering Black topics a lot, because our community is important. I feel like our community is undervalued, and in so many ways, for this particular topic, is misrepresented. So these are some of the misconceptions of Black America, and I want to ask where we think those things come from, and like ultimately, how do we, I guess, change the narrative on them?
Right.
Some of them will require changing the narrative. Others is just like, you're really stupid to actually believe that. So the first one is Black people are lazy. Like, where could that narrative have possibly come from? And particularly because the history, or the way I feel like white America teaches us our history, our history starts at slavery. According to them, as all of us sitting here know, it doesn't. It goes way further back to the beginning of time. But slavery was 400 years of free labor, like hard labor, like extremely hard labor that you know a lot of us died from. Like, so where is this?
How we lazy?
Yeah, like
Like I said, I think I guess the misconception is just a lot of things were taken away from us. Like, you gotta think about it. Like when they I guess, quote unquote, I guess you could say, gave slaves, or was it 40 acres and a mule,
right,
and all that. Like, a lot of people that actually hurt a lot of people because they didn't have nothing to do during that time period. Like, it's like basically say if you 30, 40 years old, this slavery is all you know your whole life.
right.
Like, you don't know nothing else. You don't know how to read. You don't know how to, just communicate with people outside of that, I guess, that plantation, I guess, or that world that you in. And that's just taken away from you. How can you figure out to adjust to living on your own, taking care of yourself, being self-sufficient? Not saying everybody was like that, but just I think I did read that a lot of people actually went back to their plantation because they couldn't. It's like a person who's been in prison for like a very long time.
Right.
And they out in the real world now. They like, well, I've been in prison since I was 20. I'm 55 now. Like, the hell? Like, what
right. Yeah, that whole sharecropping thing, I think, right after slavery was really big because of that.
But I don't think that's the number one reason. But I think that could, I guess sometimes it's not necessarily lazy. It's just when you're a person who doesn't have any resources, it's like what mentally like you can't. It's hard for you to figure out what to do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's just hard. Like say you live in a poverty-driven community, but you have housing. You know you get your food stamps and everything like that. But it's no deeper seed and it's no deeper, I guess, motivation for you to work because it's all you.
No. Yeah. I get that. Go ahead.
I mean, I think you have a point to a degree. You don't feel hungry, in a sense, for a better life, so therefore you're content with what's been provided to you. I don't know if I know exactly where the lazy thing come from. I think that negative thoughts or stereotypes have been placed on us because of our position in this country, not just, well, mainly from the whole enslavement incident, whereas you know how you don't like something and you begin to not like it. Like, this is how do I say, a negative thing in my house, right? Like, oh my gosh, this thing just gets on my nerves, something you have to do. Like, for example, being a slave in the house, you had to be, I mean, there was housing, right, somewhere on the plantation for you, and there were things for you to do in order for you to get fed, but you become this task for, like, the wife, right? Or whoever's manning the slaves, like, so you become a hindrance in almost a sense. And so everything that the person does that you feel is a hindrance annoys you. Oh my gosh, you didn't do this. I gotta, make you this and make you do that. But I mean, technically, I think that when you already feel like something is bad, the thing annoys you, and so you start to label it as this or that. I mean, not just lazy, you black, you ugly. You know what I'm saying? You're worthless, you're useless. Yeah. Like all these things that they put on you. But I think that when you really think about what's going on, like, slavery wasn't an easy thing to get through. Picking cotton and building your homes and raising your kids, not easy. If it was, you'd have been doing it, okay?
Right.
So it wasn't, I don't think it's that. I think that when you move forward in time and you say, okay, well, what are you going to do? Again, you have less resources than everyone else. And at the same time, every time you try to work with the system, you get cheated.
Right.
So you do your labor, so you leave slavery, but you have to go back to the plantation because there are no other jobs available for you, right?
It was actually illegal for us to not have a job.
So you work, right? And then you say this is what I should get paid, but it's not. They're giving you a tenth of what you should actually be given, right?
Right.
Or you work hard enough to acquire land and they find some way to rip it from underneath you, as if you didn't work for it. So again, when people say, oh, the system can't keep you, the system's been pretty good and working pretty well for a long time.
Right.
Just has. So I don't know where exactly lazy came from, but I think it's easier to believe something is negative instead of seeing the good in someone. But somebody decided to teach us how to read. They weren't of our skin color.
Yeah, definitely were.
Yeah,
definitely were.
Yeah, even in the so you and I were both working in the school system. You might see some kids. They're just not. Their motivation to do the work is literally just for that little grade, but it's not. They're not motivated to learn more.
So where do we change? So how do we change that narrative? Because
that narrative, the child, yeah. So we have to stop raising our kids with the task of going to school to get an education. You go to school to get an education. It is not the school's responsibility to educate your child to the level at which they should succeed, okay? Some kids go through it. Like, 1 out of 10 will excel, right? You got one excellent kid in every classroom and a few that are in that top group and a bunch of stragglers, yes?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have to start teaching your kids to find their purpose in this world. Like, what are they really good at? You have to have the resources available for them to explore. Free internships, those programs, things like that. Like, they have to see what this profession is like or that profession is like. And if you think about it, when we were kids and I'm older than y'all, so but back in '92 they started pulling out art programs and things that actually influence children to use their creativity and think outside of the box. Well, now it's like the only thing you're gonna have left is sports, because sports is how many dollars worth of business that we make for these owners, which is another subject.
Yes, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
I'm just saying,
Right.
you have this, and they're basically just creating you to be 9-to-5 workers. They just need mules. They need people to go in, do a job, execute it, and leave, so that the 1% can continue to make
so is
80%
that where,
of the income.
Is that where the stigma? I feel like you've almost brought out like the root of the problem. Like the stigma of the laziness comes from is like almost that if we call you lazy long enough, maybe you'll work for us a whole lot more. Because it's almost a meal. Like they want workers. The educational system is designed almost to
it's really nothing but tests.
To teach you how to be a worker.
Yeah. Not to think on your own. You know how when you grew up, you might have that one person who was always outspoken, always spoke their mind, and everybody looked at them like they was crazy. And some of them was actually right about what they were saying. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have a person who's just very expressive, or the person who's very loud, and you always want to try to control that. Where I think we need environments to where, you know, like say you are allowed to be expressive, you are allowed to, you know what I'm saying, like say show art, show creativity, just show like I said, this resources like she was saying, a lot of art programs are going, after school programs are going away. Like remember we was young, we could go to a rec center and play basketball with each other, or go outside and go outside and just mingle with each other. It'd be a couple older guys around the neighborhood pulling everybody together, just doing something community wise.
That's why it's so important to kind of, I think, not only encourage your kids to go to school and to be educated, but for you to also watch who's educating your child.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are certain schools I really don't want to like specifically say, but that like if the person who's educating my child doesn't, I'm not gonna say look like me, but doesn't have the same intentions for my child as I do, then I don't think my child should be educated by them. And that's why it's like parent involvement is so important, so that you can actually gauge the intentions of teachers, administrators at the school. Like if no one's there empowering my child, then that
like you said, a lot of times too, a lot of parents don't be involved. Like my dad wasn't like the parent teacher conference guy, but everybody knew who he was.
Right.
Just because he always came up to the school, he would talk to the teachers and just keep it eye on me, just make sure my behavior was straight. I wasn't just letting like how's he doing in class, like what's going on. I do feel like it's some parents that still do it, but it's a lot that's not. It could be because of their personal work schedule. They said children, they're not getting enough attention attention at home. We got the whole technology thing nowadays. They not.
But see that technology thing works in parents' favor as well, because not now you don't really have work schedule as an excuse for why you can't communicate with teachers, because teachers are willing to give phone numbers. They're where you can just shoot a text if necessary, leave a voicemail if necessary, send me an email if necessary. Really, we can Skype if you need to. Skype, FaceTime, anything that you need, we can do it. So I just gotta, I think, kind of remove some of the excuses, because while we do know that like laziness is a negative stigma of Black people, all of us at some point or another has seen someone that is really like lazy.
Yeah.
So let me touch on a few things. One, you said if possibly someone doesn't look like you, then or have the same intention as you. You're not sure if you want them actually teaching your child. So I was gonna say, well, you have to all remember that there's a group of those people in every race, right?
Right.
There's a bunch of lazy, whatever people you want to call them, from every race.
Absolutely.
It's not just us, but if I feel like when you decide to teach someone, like to be a teacher, you should have a passion for teaching.
Yeah.
I don't know if it gets beat out of you from the system and all those other things, but at the same time, if in order to keep your job, you have to teach a certain curriculum, your hands are really tired.
Right.
So your influence really comes from that day-to-day personal interaction with kids and trying to find some way to encourage them to do more than what you've brought into the classroom, or finding ways to bring it in. Because if I don't teach the curriculum, then I'm not fulfilling my job duties, and these kids don't pass this test, then I'm out. This is
So
my
the
livelihood.
curriculum isn't the. I don't think the curriculum is the issue.
But you said that they teach us our history. That's not our history. This is America's history. This is the history that they decided that is ours.
I do see where he's going with it. But it's a teacher's job to kind of go above and beyond that.
And not only the teacher, like, and that's why I didn't just say specifically the teachers, it's the administrators too, because the administrators are those who decide what the curriculum is. Like, I'm very particular about, like, knowing what is being taught to my child. Like, you know, I work in friendship schools. I have personally spoke to the founder and know the founder very well of friendship schools where my children attend school. So I know that he has their best interests at heart. I know what his intentions were for making friendship schools. So yes, they have a curriculum that they bought and this and that, but at the same time, you know, all of their teachers that I've come in contact with have nothing but the, you know, best intentions for them and bringing out of them everything that they possibly can. Like, and I feel like we're like
Lazy.
been on this topic for a little minute,
Lazy.
but like it's like they deep dive into the things, encourage the things in my children that are already great, and really deep dive and work on and help my wife and I work on the things that they struggle with.
Yeah.
Like, they just had a report card come out like a week or two ago. Straight A's, one got a C, one got a B. Furious. But, you know, we're going to work. That's what we do. You know, we see that you're intelligent in all of these areas, but you need a little work here.
Yeah.
So let's go to where you need.
Yeah.
Let's go to where you need work. But like I said, we're probably spending a little too much time on this laziness thing, which is probably the stigma of us that irritates me the most. Because all the people that I know, all the family members that I have, like, they're very hardworking people.
Yeah.
Right? We want the best for our families. Number two is I guess the one we were kind of chuckling about before we started, but we all eat chicken and watermelon.
I don't eat chicken.
I like both.
I love both too.
I don't eat meat.
It is a resolution of mine, like by the end of the year, to kind of to be a vegan. I'm trying to scale back.
I can give up red meat, but I can't give up chicken. It's like
a lot of us can't.
I need something.
For the record, I have seen some Caucasians crush fried chicken. They wait for it to come out.
It's southern. It's southern
Fried chicken is so
cuisine.
good.
It's southern cuisine.
I used to eat. I just don't eat. Oh, I eat fish now, but watermelon I wouldn't eat for years until probably about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I was like, too many seeds, can't do it.
So,
you know,
all right.
tedious.
So,
but
facts about watermelon.
It's awesome.
It is absolutely awesome.
You got like watermelon off like a farm, like a real
Yes,
watermelon.
absolutely. My uncle farms in Suffolk, Virginia.
Okay.
And from time to time we go down and pick them straight off the vine. We did it as kids all the time. But if the watermelon is seedless, don't eat it.
Yeah, that's what you call it?
It's not real.
It's not
Genetically
real. It's
modified.
GMO. Yeah.
It's a hybrid or something. What's the word?
Genetically modified.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
Don't eat it.
But most fruits supposed to have seeds anyway, so a
I
lot
mean,
of fruit
Yeah,
don't have
anything
seeds.
if it
Most
doesn't
grow
have a
from a
seed.
seed.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
absolutely.
Like,
If it didn't
that's
come from a
what's
seed, I
supposed
don't know what.
Exactly. So
What'd you say
all
about
of us don't eat it. However, I mean, what's the harm in doing so? You have a healthy diet.
Right. I mean,
I don't see
some
the
of the
problem.
stereotypes that come right with this,
I think
they're
so.
only in like. It's kind of like one of those things where someone's trying to tease you, and like the thing that they're trying to tease you with is something that you like about yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Absolutely makes no sense. So that was a really simple one. And we kind of touched on this already, and I guess we can kind of make this one short too. Number 3 was Black History started with slavery. Like, we all know that we were
We were the first
kings and
people on-
queens and
on
the
Earth.
first people on Earth. Like, I don't, like, and that's why I think this Black Panther movie is so important, because even though it's fictional, it's an opportunity to show little black boys and girls that, you know, we all aren't gangsters, we all aren't thugs, we all aren't everything that the media portrays us as in TV and movies. Like, we aren't all that, and we have a history that's deeper than, you know, slavery or what they teach.
Yeah.
You know, children in school.
The creators are so much. The creators are so just. We probably the creators are just everything. It just got taken away from us. Cause look at what everything we perform at very well at. Like, we're low key taking over the Winter Olympics.
Awesome, and that's another thing that actually, since we're headed there anyway. Number 4 was we only a stigma that we only succeed in sports and music. I don't get where that comes from, because there you got your George Washington Carvers,
Because that's what they choose to publicize. That's what's
Right.
shown, because it entertains them. It's their form of entertainment. So that's what they invest in.
They took that. They take the music from us. You know, they took that.
So how do we how do we, again, the whole thing is with all of these, how do we change the narrative? Like,
resources, man. We have to find different ways to kick down the doors in certain industries.
And we have to start telling our own stories and stop letting other people tell them.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much what the laundry room was about anyway. Like, I wanted it to be an opportunity for us to be able to talk about us. Right. Like,
yeah.
we get all of the like really, really famous people that they talk about all the time that are in like sports and music, and I take nothing from them. Those are some amazing people, and they've accomplished some amazing things. But they're like everyday you and I's, you know, Nicole's that are, you know, alive, and they don't get celebrated as much as they should. And
we do excellent things.
Exactly.
Excellent things.
Exactly, and that's what I want to do. I just.
And even like I said, even in inventions, like a black man invented the air conditioner.
The air conditioner, I think the automobile engine,
stoplights,
super soakers.
Yes,
like
we created a lot. I feel like we created a lot of the common sense.
We did.
Things, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, because it's got, you know, we don't have the necessary, I guess, the business acumen or the anything that's got taken away from us.
Right, because
we
how
do.
fast does a black dollar move out of the neighborhood? Our own.
And that's, you know, some of our miseducation that comes into, you know, that comes into play when most of us take our black dollars and spend them elsewhere. There was a community, I think, not that I think, I know that it existed, Black Wall Street.
Right. That was in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Tulsa?
And it was,
and
it was destroyed.
Yeah.
It was destroyed by white Americans. America, and it is any leg up we have, anytime we find a way to invest in ourselves.
They put us against each other. The whole us organization, you know, the man who created Kwanzaa, and I believe it was Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI literally made them beef with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally made them kill each other. You see what I'm saying?
You know, I saw this picture the other day, and I'm not sure if I shared this with you or if I was in conversation with somebody else. But it was a black guy. It was two black guys, two white guys, and they were all trying to climb a tree.
Mm-hmm.
White guy is pushing white guy up the tree.
Mm-hmm.
While black guy is pulling the other black guy off the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so symbolic of, you know, what they've tried, you know, from slavery to Jim Crow, Reconstruction, on up through, you know, to what we see now. Like they're trying to create ways for us to destroy each other.
Yeah, that's another thing. We honestly need to show each other more love, more appreciation, and help each other push forward. You can't get mad at the next man for progressing in his life, because he might open up a door that can help you through that door.
Absolutely not. I think that's why it's so important that you pick and choose your circle wisely.
It is. It is. And if you aren't try to be I guess the leader as best you can. I had an interesting conversation with a young man today at the school. It was after school, took him, bought him lunch, and just really sat down and got a chance to talk to him so that he could, you know, kind of understand some things. He had experienced a recent, you know, death in his life. Mm-hmm. And I think it was really getting to him, and no one had, you know, set him down to really be able to guide him through what he was feeling and how to move forward from that, because the person that he lost was the person who had taken care of him his whole life.
Yeah.
So, just really, really encouraging him to be a leader and to stay away from all the, you know, the stereotypes that we're talking right now, not being lazy, and kind of talk to him about his history and how he can change, even if it's a little bit, change the narrative on, you know, what life is like for him and his family.
Yeah.
But that topic, particularly sports, music, yes, we rule sports and music, but we rule a lot of other industries too, like bioengineering, all of those industries. There are huge African American leads in those industries.
What's the movie with Taraji P. Henson with the astronauts and everything? What's it called?
Fences?
No,
that wasn't
no,
Fences.
no.
No, that was Hidden Figures. There you go.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Three black women created they created like the formulas and everything like that.
They perfected the formula for the aircraft. Yeah, I didn't.
Women.
I didn't know that.
Black women did that.
Women like are incredible. I don't understand how they've been downplayed so much, like in society.
Like,
black women are incredible.
I call black women's superhero, because I don't. Some stuff I'll be like, how? Okay.
That has to be next. That has to be next.
Hey, so that's what is next. This is funny. All black people can dance. I personally cannot dance. I'm sorry. I can two-step. That's about the most you get out of me.
Yeah, I think most of us got rhythm. Got some type of little
instinctive.
You know, it's natural. It's a natural thing. Just the music we're just listen to growing up. It don't necessarily gotta be hip hop and nothing like that. Just soul. Our music has a lot of bounce and rhythm, and just a lot of, you know, everything.
I think it comes to, like, I was doing some research on it, and I think it comes from the amount of that you actually do in your house. Like, I think my parents my mom is very, very Christian, so a lot of the rhythm and soul that you would normally experience in the house, we didn't really experience. So there wasn't a whole lot of dancing. My mom didn't dance a lot. My dad didn't dance a lot. Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure in the church though, they was.
Oh yeah, she can get it at church.
Yeah,
But
in church.
The Holy Ghost hit her bad.
gospel-
Hey,
gospel
all
music got
bets are
rhythm
off.
Gospel music has a rhythm to it.
It does, but it's a
Yeah.
different rhythm.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm good. But I'm sure the lady here could dance.
I don't know which y'all talking about.
You can't do a little two
Yeah.
step.
I have
She-
rhythm.
Yeah, she dance. She probably salsa and all that.
I cannot. That's one thing I cannot do. Is at a wedding, and this lovely person, this lovely woman was beside me, and she was salsa. She was doing salsa, and I was like, I can't catch you. Like I can't catch up, and it just drove me crazy. She was on it.
You try to learn it?
Yes, I tried very hard. I was like, I keep missing this step. Jeez. And then she spun on me, and I was lost. I was like,
Alright, so next up is black people can't swim.
Well, that's one that might be proven true because I can't swim well.
I mean, I can't swim at all. But
I can swim. I have a fear of drowning and other
Yeah, I
fears.
think I don't.
But,
I
like,
think
I
it is
can
with black people.
swim.
We're not enthused by being in the water that much. It's not.
I don't know. People love the water.
Yeah,
like
but-
all they want to do is be in the
right,
water.
But I think a lot of us aren't though. It's not something like. It's not something like we're like like I said, just enthused about. Or we are in the water. It's just like, okay, we're gonna be here for a little minute, enjoy it for a minute.
could it be? And I've heard this joked about a lot. It's just that
When they say drowning too,
like nobody wants to well. There was a lot of people, a lot of us, that jumped off of slave ships and swam back to shore. The country of Liberia, West Africa, the descendants of Liberia are those who were not freed, but who escaped.
Right.
And made it back to shore, and they populated that whole little country there. But do we care to actually change the narrative on that? Like, do I say I want to eventually learn how to swim, but I don't think I care that I don't know how to swim.
Is it? I mean, and plus, I think that comes from where we live at also, because if we're not it's not like we living on an island or something like that. So I can see if a person from like a Caribbean island or something, they say they don't know how to swim, you'd be like, whoa, like, you're around there all the time. Yeah. But if you're just like living, I guess in what you would call it, an industrial world.
Right.
Yeah, like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not something that's really, I guess, necessary to do.
Right.
You know.
You don't got no watering holes to go jump in.
I would say black people don't surf, but I know we do. But I mean, you rarely ever see somebody
Right.
black surfing. But you're right, though. I think it definitely has something to do with where you're located.
So a friend of mine and I were having a conversation around sports, and they were making a comparison to like the sports that black people dominate, and then the sports that other nationalities dominate. And they brought up like black people don't really dominate the sport of like skiing and skating and swimming, and then we started to think about those things in the sense that like when is there ever a competition for those things? Like, except for the Olympics that happen every 4 years, and it's like, do we really want to waste time training for something that only comes around every 4 years?
And plus, you got to think about, like saying, I think where we're just our natural habitats is just not where it's a thing. Like you got to think about it. Like in Canada, it might be a thing because their natural land is like that. They're around them big snow mountains. And
Right.
If you're like one of them, I don't know. I guess the white states like Utah or Nebraska or something like that. You got a lot of land and all that. You know what I mean? You can skateboard and do stuff like that.
So one of my favorite movies as a kid was Cool Runnings.
Okay.
Remember that movie?
Yeah.
The Jamaican bobsled team.
Yes, I do. I do now.
And I thought it was the weirdest thing that, you know, people from a place where it's super duper hot could actually win a competition where there's snow and ice.
Yeah.
So it just, to me, it just says that, I mean, we could be great at any sport.
Yeah.
Probably better than most people at every sport.
It's like some young black girl who like crushing in the skiing racing and all that.
Bobsledding?
Not bobsledding. It's like they like
The
race.
ice, yeah.
Right there.
It's every sport though. Every sport that any black person has like decided to even give the time of day ends up being.
And we crush. Like it's not like
golf.
It's a crush. Like
Tennis.
Yeah. Like you can debate Serena Williams is the best tennis player ever.
I would say man or woman.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I would take in a conversation between her and Roger Federer. I'm taking Serena every time.
Boxing, boxing. Say basketball, the football, even.
You think we going to lacrosse? You think we're headed there?
Hey, so my brother's on.
I think lacrosse just doesn't have that professional business world that I guess like a football or basketball or baseball has. But
it's I think it's gonna come up though.
Yeah, because I think the next 20 years or so people gonna start stepping away from national football because we all know the dangers of it now.
There's a sport that's a little more, I think, more physical, less brutal than football that will be coming up soon. It'll likely start out like in the Olympics and then maybe grows or something, maybe a national, but that's rugby.
Yeah.
My brother played on probably the first all-black rugby team in America.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty dope sport. Really dope sport. Like, being around that.
Less brutal than football? Less brutal than football?
Less brutal because the tackling is different.
Oh.
Yeah,
I always seen more physical.
It's
like right between football and MMA to me. It just always like
it gets intense, but I think probably why I say it's more is less brutal because it's not as much protection.
Right, it's not as much protection, so you don't like throw your body as much as you would in a football. Because football, you're trying to like pretty much kill somebody, and you have that false sense of security with your equipment on. That rugby, your body's exposed. So if you throw yourself into somebody like that, you can kill yourself.
Yeah.
So, let's go. We're down. All right. We operate on CP time. Yeah. Me personally, I try to be on time to everything that I do. Like I'm one of those people that swears by to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, and to be late is unacceptable.
Go ahead, Sergeant Conyers.
Hey. He really did instill that
all the
into
time.
Hey, you know that happens. It might be a cookout. Y'all, the cookout gonna start at 2. She'll be like, I'll get there around 4. Then by the time you get there, the food's still not ready.
Okay. So I don't show up to events unless I'm part of the event on time. I cannot do it.
Why?
I cannot do
Why?
it. Because you wanna know why? Some people schedule too much time for certain events. And sometimes you don't have the time. You don't have 4 hours to give to an event.
So how about something like a church or like that? I think that was the one that annoys
Church
me.
is CP time too now.
My church service is only an hour and a half. Go ahead, Zion, Landover, okay? Keith Battle don't play. He gonna get you in. He said he started his own
You'll be in
church.
there all day.
No, I used to be 4-hour church.
Yeah, me too.
Bible study and then the church service and afterwards, and God is great. But one of the reasons Keith Battle said he built his church was because he wanted to make sure that people wanted to be interested. And so you can't be sitting there for 4 hours still interested. Can you imagine?
Nah,
how many times do you get up from your desk at work before it's 11 o'clock?
You go to church, the sun is out. You leave out, the sun is down. It's evening time now. You like, where the day go?
And then somebody's going to say you can give 6 days to whoever, but not 1 day to the Lord. I know it's going to happen.
Hey, don't
give
judge
all
me.
my 7 to the Lord. Give all.
11 to 1, Jesus.
I think churches on CB time, and sometimes I know some people, they might schedule things early because they know people gonna come late.
Yes.
They might tell you, "Oh, get here at 8," but in reality, they know nobody's gonna get there until 10.
So do we like? Is that something that we care to change the narrative on? Like,
I mean, I think it all depends on the priority of what it is. Like, if it's a job interview, of course you're gonna be there on time. You're gonna be there early. You know what I mean? If it's a job interview, if it's or a date with a person that you're really into, you know, you're gonna be there on time. Over something with, you know, saying your kids and things like that. But if it's just something like, hey man, I'm having a party, blah blah blah, starts at 10. You might not be like, I'll wait till about 12.
But why though? Like, I feel like so many people do that. Like, I never forget it. One time I rented out a venue for a party of mine. I think it was my 24th birthday on 8th Street, and the event was from like 10 to I think 2. People didn't really get there until like 12.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you wasted 2 hours of my time.
And people want to walk in.
Money.
People want to walk in when there's a quote unquote when something's going on.
But if everybody has that thought process,
that's the problem.
The place is empty until 12.
Now, I will say this though, because I do work with an event company. I do work with an event company, and white people don't play.
They get in,
yeah.
like, and that's why
if you're a minute late, they want that event need to be set up by 7, whatever the time is.
Exactly.
Needs to be going on. Everybody needs to be in it right now. I see it. Like it's not, they don't play. Like, you know what I mean? Like they.
But I think that's why
it's
we
a
get that
professional
stigma.
commitment, though.
Yeah.
It's not like you said a kickback or whatever. Like, hang on, it's not like that. Birthday party. I'm never showing up to a club before 11 o'clock. I'm not showing up to.
All right, 11 o'clock would have been.
I got a girlfriend, and I hope she's watching. She is always on time. The clubs we free to 10:15. We there at 9:45. So like I've definitely done that. But for me, I feel like I don't want to be the first person in there. Then I'm gonna be there forever, and then I'm be there. If the party really don't kick off till 12, I'm there 2 hours. Not really, you know.
Might as well get some drinks in your system
and be drunk for the whole.
Hey,
I was there before everybody else.
I mean, look,
the bartender might rock with you because you the only one. The bartender might rock with you because you the only one there.
Maybe.
Like, get you out the way. Like, hey man,
just wait for the party.
Yeah.
Just wait for the party to get started. The next one is one that we know isn't true, and it kills me that many of the roles that we play in Hollywood or what have you, they portray us this way, and that's as uneducated. I do honestly feel like a lot of young people don't value their education the way they should, but uneducated? I think in the second episode when it was you and Sophia here, I was talking about how black women particularly graduate college at probably one of the highest rates in the country, and black women own probably most of the businesses in the country. Like, it's I don't get this, and even when the question comes up, or when I go into how do we change the narrative on black women or black people in general being viewed as uneducated, like, what?
I I would say, as a black woman, I would ask you this: do you feel like your motivation comes from being, I guess, considered, I guess, like the lowest of the, you know what I mean? So you kind of like, it kind of makes you like go a little harder.
Actually, I would say I've always been a hard worker, right? But the goal is to work smart. But anyway, I've always been a hard worker. I don't think it's been because anyone thought anything less of me. I think I've always just took pride in doing what I thought was a good job, right? I think that, of course, a lot of people say that, because you're especially a black woman, right, that you have to be as 10 times better than anyone else, regardless of what race or gender in any work environment. However, I have to accept myself as human, right? I make mistakes, I learn, I grow, I repeat healthy behaviors. But I'm not going to sit here and put myself in a position to say I'm trying to impress someone. I mean, my employer is my employer, but at the end of the day, as long as my job is being well executed, then I see no need to go above and beyond. And I definitely had to come to terms with that in the workplace before. I was like, I'm doing everything that I can, and I stay late, I'm here, whatever. At some point, I had to say, you know what, this is what is required for this job, and this is what's being done.
Absolutely.
I would, without a doubt, will go above and beyond when needed, but it will not be an everyday thing. Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, you have to also realize that there's another layer to this, which is you're continuously working hard for someone else's dream. How much of your energy have you invested into your own purpose and your own dream and your own business? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to work like this for 30 plus years or until you retire, if you saved enough money to retire, you're going to run yourself ragged. And so I've been there before, but I've definitely accepted me for who I am. No.
And I think we're in a I think this is a good era in the sense of as black people, we're in the era of independence, entrepreneurship.
Getting there.
I think of course they are saying, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now, but it's kind of like the internet has helped create that avenue for us to say, if you have an idea, let's say if you make shirts, let's say if you, I know you have your business, say if I have a service I want to offer, I have a way to get that out to people. You know what I mean? And I do think as black people, we need to take control and be more and control our sources of income. Like for example, me being in the I guess the audio world, engineering world, especially being an engineer, a lot of times, not a lot of black guys go into that part of the music thing, because we're always seen as the the rapper, the singer. We always seen as the guys in the front, but I feel like it's so many people that's behind the scenes that make the things happen. Without those people, these certain artists wouldn't succeed. Right. Like say you got a guy like, let me say something. Say you got a guy like Jay-Z, right? There's so many people that helped him get to where he's at, from, let's say, Dame Dash. You got guys like his friend he always raps about, is it Tata? Just the people that helped build that Kareem Biggs, the people that helped build that Rockefeller brand. Like, it's so many people that just help this one person get to where they go with the idea that him and his boys may have developed. And I think that as black men, we need to create those empires for each other.
Yeah, and it not only creating those empires, but supporting those empires as well. Yeah. Like we were talking about earlier, where we spend black dollars. Like, it's so important that our black dollars are spent where they help us. Yeah. Where they generate more black dollars, more opportunities, from banking black to and that's something I have to even get on myself about right now, because I've been meaning to switch my bank from Bank of America to industrial bank, which is a black-owned bank in the Washington D.C. area. You know, it's important to do that, man.
And have a
It's
model.
important.
Put money in your man's pocket.
Right.
That's my motto. Like, put money in somebody else that you know pocket. Like, if you, like, say, if you was selling food or something, like selling something, I'd rather give you that money than somebody else who I don't know.
Right.
Because you might make sure my service is straight. Not saying look for a discount, but you're gonna make sure because I guess we could be black, but you're gonna make sure like this service is gonna be done correctly.
All right, so here's a stigma, and I'm not sure if it's a stigma or, but it's a gripe I have with us while we're on this topic, and that's us and the services that we do provide in black businesses.
Yeah.
Like sometimes customer service in a black business is just not the best.
Everybody looking for a discount, a hookup, or
I mean, I'm not necessarily talking about that. I'm talking about the services itself.
Okay, got you.
Like I've gone into black establishments and it's just like really like I have no problem spending my money with black people, but there's a level of customer service that I would like to receive.
Yeah.
So is it more insulting when you receive bad service from your own people or from others?
I think it's more insulting when I receive bad service from my own people, particularly because my own people will be the first to say that no one wants to spend money or no one wants to spend their money on black businesses, but you'll give me crappy service and expect me to spend my money there.
Yeah.
Like I while my allegiance to blackness is very high, my allegiance to customer service is even higher. Like there's some things that are okay. Like if I go into a black restaurant, you don't have no napkins. Like all right, I got napkins at home. If I gotta wait an hour for something that I already ordered like ahead of time, then I have an issue.
And then they kind of carry like, well, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
right. Like it's no, and then there's no compensation for my time, and you know if you could walk in any white establishment, it does happen, and you're getting something free at least.
So what do you do when you receive bad service from our own people?
And that's where I probably have the biggest issue with me. Normally it turns my attitude sour instead of me going through the proper avenues of like speaking to management or whatever. There are some days that I do that. I do that with white establishments when they aren't giving me the proper level of customer service. But normally the process begins with my attitude not being where it should be.
Right, but we have to do better at that. So we want to invest our money into our own businesses or the businesses of our brothers and sisters. We want to receive good service. We want the opportunity for employment to be with our own. It's also important to give businesses that feedback because a lot of times those owners, the person who runs that business, that's their livelihood. That's it right there. And it's not that they may not be aware of the issues. It's just that they may not know exactly how to fix them. Because it's one thing to open your doors up and say, oh, I can cook, or this is a finance business that I own. Like, but it's another thing to say I have a skill that actually customizes my customer service. You know, my clients, they feel confident, they feel safe, they feel they know what I deliver is of quality. They know when they come here, they're going to feel welcome. That's a whole different skill that we don't really. I don't say we because you know what? I feel like when I receive bad service from somewhere, most of the time, if I'm in a good mood, I'd be like, you know what? Not today. I go on my business. But if it's just ridiculous, I have to say something about it. And I was somewhere, black-owned business, and I said, listen, I was standing here for 5 minutes, and she walked past me several times. But you have to say something because if you don't, then they'll never fix anything about it because you know what they will feel? They will feel that bottom line, and then they'll say, my business didn't succeed because my people didn't support me. So we have to support them in more ways than just monetary. We have to communicate, and that brings me back to what keeps coming when you all are saying things. You have to have community. the guy or the woman who owns a shop is going to say, well, oh, because we the same color, we owe you something. That's how some people feel. Like, oh, well, okay, well, everybody walking here. We get customers all day long. And it's not good customer service. It's not great to look at people that way. But in the same sense, when you have a community and you know your man or your girl from here, you have already established a relationship. So therefore, the level of service you receive should be better because you have some familiarity with that person. Yeah. So and then I can say, well, I feel good putting money in somebody's pocket, and I will support everybody's business from the man with the oils on the train to everybody else up to the bank. I'm perfectly fine with that, but I just think that I've just noticed the customer service thing, and when you don't say something, it becomes a whole. Now, I'm gonna get my food first, but.
I mean, obviously, in any business, you want to run into just things going bad, mistakes happen, some things you can't control, or anything like that. But like you said, you got to make sure that to alleviate that situation, you got to make sure. Figure out the best way to alleviate those type of situations.
Right.
Also.
Right. Communication.
Yeah.
Communication is definitely the way to change that narrative. And then just us really like caring about the product that we put out. Like knowing with the business mindset that if you put out a great product, that product grows.
Right.
Like, and that's what's so important about feedback here on the laundry room. Like, the more feedback I get, the better.
Yeah. Please,
feedback.
Tell us what you think. We want to know.
We do. We really do. And so, all right, we're going to start coupling some of these together. And I think this one is very appropriate that we couple together. The first part of this is that black men don't care of their families and community. And the second part of it is that we're all baby mamas and baby daddies. Like, I'm a black father. I'm a husband. I love my family. And every day I work in a job where I support my black community. I really hate this stigma that we don't take care of our families. Like, I grew up in a two-parent home. My father was very supportive of me. My mom was very supportive of me. They've been married for 35 years. I don't understand it. I detest it, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make sure that this cycle continues for my son, his son.
Yeah, like I said, that whole black men don't take care of their families is crazy. I come from a family where I have a lot of uncles. I don't really have a blood aunt, I would say. But all of them stand-up guys, even through their personal situations, still make sure their families were straight. Hence, some of the decisions that they made were to make sure that their families were taken care of. So I was pretty much raised with my dad, and I believe that black men, we are the what's the word I want to look for? The root of the community. We help keep those things forward, because without those certain leaders in certain neighborhoods and certain areas, it would be chaos. It would be just all bad, and we need those intelligent gentlemen to keep things certain way, certain order. As men, even women, they want a man who knows how to keep things in order, knows how to lead, who knows how to provide.
Everybody has their role in our community, and I think because of I don't want to say the man, but there's been an initiative to destroy the roles that we all play in our community, and just so that we can all survive, people have had to take on more roles than they're supposed to. By breaking up the black family, now you force a lot of women to play the role of mom and dad instead of just mom. So you have mom that has to work, then has to come home and be mom and dad, and that's stressful. Yeah. And you take dad's power completely just about away from him, and a lot of times that sends people into a spiral of depression that may manifest itself as alcoholics and druggies, which is basically another one that we can kind of couple into this too. Like, all of us are not drug addicts. Yeah. All of us are not, like, our community doesn't all look like
we're
that.
Not even we're not the number one. We're not the number one.
We're not the one race. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
They talking about the
opioid epidemic.
They wasn't saying that when we was all doped up in the 80s, but now they
didn't create a law against the opioids, crack versus cocaine thing, but they didn't do that when that epidemic hit their community. Absolutely, but I can definitely tell you that that in itself has hit, and it's hit so hard that the laws are changing. But to your point, you're right. We're not the number one race, so therefore how can we number one?
I'm sorry, you work in the insurance industry. Do you kind of see certain cases going on like
that? Or in a pharmacy, and I see more like the uses and the restriction of it, and then working on the insurance side of it, I more so see where the laws are changing to like restrict the use of it, and it's for me it's difficult, right? Because you have someone in pain, who needs medication, but at the same time, like, the doctors or whoever formulated this drug knew the addictive possibilities of someone taking this medication and what it could do to them, and decided that the advantages were greater than the risk. And after all, that's not really so much of a situation,
I don't even think it has anything to do with the advantages. All money. Yeah.
But it is though. Mm-hmm. But it truly is. But again, I think it probably couldn't be us, right? Couldn't be us.
A lot of us, honestly, can we even afford it?
No, not at all. But things with there's epidemics that that come about, and then there's something characteristic of black people, and it's so weird.
But it's been going on. It's been going on.
But it wasn't until the large suicide rates started increasing, and these rehabilitation centers started getting full with people who are trying to get off of these drugs. Like, then now it's an epidemic. With us, it was just characteristic of black people. Like, we're just drug users. That's what you are.
Who we were versus something that was affecting our community.
Exactly.
And I completely understand like what you're saying. It became a problem. I was watching something about 2020. It really became a problem because it's because the young people started dropping like flies. Mm-hmm. They were ODing on it, not really knowing what was going on, and they were putting them into rehabilitation centers, and they weren't getting cured. They were running away. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then when they started dropping, they figured out that this injectable could actually save their life, but they didn't have access to the medication. And that's what really started blowing their mind. They were like, we could have saved them, but we're waiting for the ambulance to come with, with this medication, and they didn't have access to these drugs in certain areas. And so that's really what outraged
me. I think I read something about that. Somebody's son, like a group of boys, they OD'd on heroin, got the injection, and then OD'd again. They trip out, and I think they died. But I do feel like the drug using culture is being pushed upon us, though. It like through entertainment and just music and everything like that. We got the whole debate where back in the days, rap, hip hop was more so like about the drug dealer. But now
Yeah.
it's more so about the drug user.
One of my, I guess, my inspirations for doing this show, is it inspiration? Is that the word? Somebody I look up to a lot, that's in the entertainment industry, Charlamagne the God. He had they have this debate on the Breakfast Club all the time, and what he said about that actually is so true. It's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
It really is, and whether you're the user or the user or the seller, or you're still destroying the community either way. And it just so happens
It doesn't make nobody better.
Right.
It doesn't make nobody better.
One is it can't be better than the other, because you who you saw, like all the years of us championing people who sell drugs. Who are they selling the drugs to?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we ever really took that into consideration.
I think it was a scene in the what's that Biggie movie, Notorious, and I think remember it sounded like a pregnant girl was coming up to him trying to get some drugs from him. He was like, "Nah, like I'm not about to give you nothing because you pregnant." But she went on ahead and got the drugs from another guy. You see what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, I would think, so I'm young, but I would think at least some guys back in the day, they had some type of morals with the drug dealing that they had. Like, if a woman was pregnant, it might be like, nah, you're not about to get off this. Or, I said, I don't know. But, you know, some dudes is heartless. They just trying to get their money. You know, and some people, they so addicted to what they're doing. They'll do anything to go get that.
Right. But, so let's do, just because it is getting kind of late, and I ain't trying to keep nobody here. Even though I do love this discussion, it's kind of dispelling some of the things that we've heard for years that just aren't true. And I guess I would say let's end on a lighter note. And we've been talking about black women a lot tonight, and I really appreciate you all.
Yes. That was the queen.
So the last rumor we're going to dispel tonight actually came from you, Nicole. All black women wear weaves.
You know what? Let me say something before I get started. We can wear whatever weave we want to. I think that, I don't know how it came about, but anyway, I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the texture of our hair. But anyway, I think that we do a good job at rocking so many different hairstyles. And I love that about our complexity. You can never say a black woman is a one-note woman. She will switch it up on you any given day, any time. And I think that that's, you know, a part of what we love about us. But all black women do not wear weaves. We have a choice. We choose and decide what we want to do, when we want to do it, what color we want our hair to be. And I think that I'm so happy for the Team Natural movement that helped us and, you know, little girls become very much so proud of our natural texture of hair. And a lot of women have turned to Team Natural. A lot of women still wearing wigs. You're not wrong if you're doing one or the other. Even if you're still getting perms, your choice is your choice. I just think that it helped bring out what was great about us, our light shine, you know, of embracing the texture of our hair and being able to do so many different things with it, in addition to weaves. And a lot of people are just wearing weaves as protective hairstyles now, you know. It's, you know, no more longer thinking that, you know, people don't have edges. I don't have hair underneath the wig, but that's one thing I definitely love about myself. I love my hair. It be flat, big, puffy, curly, whatever it is. I'm gonna rock it like it's a golden medal from the Olympics. It's mine.
So, I agree with 98% of what you just said.
What's the 2%?
I feel like black women's hair, or black people in general, our hair defies gravity. Like any other nationality, when their hair grows long, it falls. Our hair grows like straight up, and it's very, unique in that how the coarseness of it, that everything about it can be styled in so many ways. It can be almost sculpted, and it's that uniqueness is magical about us. Perms are horrible for you.
They are.
Absolutely horrible for you. So if you are getting perms, no. You just gotta stop. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't condone or like
the follicles and all that.
What?
It's a losing battle to fight. It's a losing battle to fight.
I've never had a perm before in my life. I've definitely have siblings who use them. It stinks. It's horrifying to me. But I still think that.
And that helps straight.
You're not a horrible person for doing it.
So what's the purpose?
But it's just horrible for you.
The purpose of a perm is to tame your hair. It's to make it straight so that you can easily be able to manage your hair. That's what it's for. So. Yeah.
And to make you look like a European when you're not.
Okay.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that straight hair is.
Well, why you can't do it like an Asian? Asian people have straight hair too. I think it's to be more acceptable, regardless. Because if that wasn't the case, then you definitely wouldn't have black women wearing wigs. Because that wig is bone straight too. Right.
So
it's
I think initially that's what it started as. But I heard, some black women make the argument that it is just easier to manage. So getting a weave or getting a wig to to cover what's already natural underneath, and I have absolutely no problems with that. At 2-3 weeks,
that's like us wearing a hat.
Change it up as many times as you possibly can.
You ain't got a haircut.
Hey, right now, like what
the next thing is that all black women can do hair. We can't. Which in case point, if you go natural, you definitely have to learn how to do hair all over. It's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different. It's not that easy. I think we just wash and go. But it's definitely a different ball game.
Like I said, I appreciate a woman who can switch the style up and just be different. Cause I think for a lot of women too, their hair is just showing up their expression.
Yeah, also, it is. It is. It's that's what I mean. Like the uniqueness about us, a lot of the magic in a black woman, besides the melanin in her skin, is like her hair.
It could be that one time your wife got her hair. Now you just like, all right.
Absolutely. Like that. Like down the street, you can see a black woman's hair from way, like just how she styled it, whether it's in a huge bush or whether it's my wife likes to wear mohawks or that, like, and it's not that she shaves the side of her head, but she just like pins it all up into a nice mohawk.
It's a creativity,
Right. It's awesome.
Well, straightening combs were definitely a part of my upbringing.
Hey, I remember that like my sister.
Yes, is legendary.
That blue magic grease.
Well,
oh my God!
My hair has never grown as much as it has on Blue Magic because it's conditioning. It's the hair conditioning.
What's the other stuff? It's like that big brown jump. It's big.
It's like gel.
Is it gel?
Gel? Oh, I hate gel. Hard. It's like keep your hair matte. It's the hardest thing ever. Or Ultra Sheen.
Yes.
My uncle's wife. She used to do. She has a salon now, but before she had a salon, she would do like her hair in the people's house. So we would like spend the night. Or you would just smell his hair product. But she would have like mad ladies down in the basement doing their hair, putting that gel in and all that stuff. And that curling irons, we just be down there like, man, I just can't take that smell. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's one of the things there's so much pride in black women's hair. So much pride. I'm quite sure it's like it's definitely $1 billion industry. It has to be. From all
Easy.
That with the MUA stuff, the whole makeup, makeup waves and all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't even. Some black women don't need makeup. It's just
like makeup. Some girl makeup is everything. That's all they want. They don't even want nothing else. They just want makeup.
It's another way to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We can remake ourselves over 12 times in 1 week.
Yes.
You can't put no limits on us.
Black
whatsoever.
magic.
You sitting there waiting for her to go. You're like, why is taking her so long? You're like, oh.
Yeah. That's not even.
You know what? That's all we need. We just need a little shape, and we good to
that's
go.
It. Well, my wife hates it when I say it, but you know, I'll take the longest time to get ready in the house. And some people, I guess, would like to.
Okay, so I just want to ask you this real quick. You about to go on a date, nice little date. What's the average time you take to prepare yourself?
Like you said earlier, when you having a date with somebody you're really interested in, you on time. I'm late. I'm always getting ready. It takes me a considerable amount of time depending on what I have to do. So I try to kind of prepare for what needs to be done earlier in the week if because I know that day is coming. But I'm an easy 2 hours. It takes me an hour just to get ready for work in the morning. And I ain't done nothing but showered and like regular hygiene stuff. Like I don't know. It just take a long time.
That's crazy.
So at least 2 hours. If I have to like actually do my own hair, yeah.
That's why I'm like always trying to plan ahead. Always, even when I was like dating.
Yeah.
Please, I'm gonna tell you in the morning. Hey, I would love to see you tonight, and then remind you. Are you getting ready now? Cause
Or you pull up to the house. You okay? I'm gonna be there by 9. It's 9. You call her. I'm outside. Okay, I'm still getting ready. What?
So,
I mean, would you appreciate the effort though?
Yes, absolutely.
But it's like
absolutely.
She could have came out looking like nothing.
I got this reservation at 10. I'm trying to hurry up and get here. You holding me? You holding this on?
So you have to tell us 30 minutes ahead of time. Like yesterday when I was getting ready for Valentine's Day, I literally had to leave work. I forget where I was. I had to leave work at 5. I don't think I actually ended up leaving work till around 5:30. I was like, Nicole, this is pushing it. Leave work from Beltsville to go home in DC to get ready and do my hair and figure out what shoes I was going to wear and where they were. And then I got in the car. I got in the car and still had to drive down to where we were going to, and that wasn't where dinner was. So I was like, why I just can't meet you there? Like, you cutting in on my get ready time. You done cut 30 minutes out of the time I need to get ready by me not having, so y'all gonna be waiting.
That's why sometimes
I set reservations.
Sometimes you might have
reservations. Oh no, I'm gonna tell you the night before. Reservations for this place at this time.
Exactly, but if that reservation's at 8, say they at 7:30.
I got this.
Yeah, but like you say, CP time.
No.
Sometimes we might take a little minute sometimes too. It depends. Like, it might be that one time you trying to get real nice, real spiffy. So you might be like, what cologne I'm gonna throw on? What sneakers I'm gonna throw on tonight? I don't know if I want to throw the Jordans on. I don't know if I want to throw on the Vans. I don't know if I want the Timbs. The weather plays back into it. The jeans might not be coordinating with the outfit. The shirt might not be fitting right. You thought this was going. You're not like
single people. We not married.
Oh, okay.
We not married.
Hey, I'm still learning to.
Take a long time too. Sometimes it's stupid.
I'm still learning to master my singleness.
You make an impression every time you see somebody.
I'm saying it might be that one time you might be like, I'm gonna throw on this nice shirt. I'm gonna get myself.
Yes, but that is planned the night before. I'm a bit honest because I'm a stickler full time. I plan outfits out days in advance. Like my work outfits for the week. I kind of pretty much know what shirts, what pants I want to wear during the week. If I'm doing something special, like already for when we go out, for Valentine's Day and all that stuff, like I already know pretty much what I want to wear and just get it out and go. Just because I know I don't want to take excess time. And then when you add kids into the equation, it gets even crazier.
Okay.
Even crazier. But
I couldn't imagine. Like, I think I saw a post on Instagram that had like the little cubby hole, like portable dresser where it had like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with the clothes set out and each one with the shoes. Yeah, that would be my children, because there's no way I'm finding clothes every day for a kid. Not even do it.
I try to
Especially
iron
when they
clothes
wanna
on
wear
Sunday. Like, they wear uniforms.
Yeah.
Add on the uniform shirts. Add on the uniform pants.
Yes,
Never had to iron again.
Exactly.
Man, but shoot, we could go on and on of all the crazy misconceptions, you know, that kind of morph into the portrayals that we see in the media and movies and music and all that. But I mean, these portrayals are a long cycle of negative stigmas that are attached to African Americans, and they're often, you know, perpetuated propaganda presented as factual characteristics that that are the reasons why people give themselves an excuse to treat us as less than citizens. Everything that we've talked about tonight is, you know, I think we can rise above. A lot of things that we talked about tonight are just foolishness that I don't even know how it got started. It's been perpetuated for generation after generation. But, you know, those things, like, you know, the fact, well, not the fact, but the opinion that we're uneducated, or, you know, that we're only good at sports and music, and like those things can be dispelled. We have countless examples of how that is not true. But it still seems to be part of the narrative when people who don't really know us, who aren't part of our community, kind of address us, you know, as if we don't, like, that we aren't intellectual, or that they have to, like, kind of dumb things down for us. Like, no, you don't have to say it that way.
Yeah, no.
I do understand words that have more than 6 letters. Anyway, I just want to thank you all again for joining me in my laundry room. And let's do closing thoughts. It's on you, Meek.
Closing thoughts. Well, I'll just piggyback off you were saying, like, far as with the myths and everything like that. But I also think we also need to take more control of the narrative also, to break those stereotypes. Like I said, be on time. Let's promote Black excellence in other avenues besides just sports and music.
Right.
You know, let's help each other be more educated. Let's figure out ways to create avenues and open up doors to promote just self-creativity, things of that nature. And
the laundry room is that.
And yeah, we all don't eat chicken and watermelon.
I love chicken. I mean, I'm trying to change me eat it, but I love chicken and watermelon.
You are your best self being you, not to say don't explore outside of the box or the norm, or be afraid to take risks, but be influenced, but find out who you truly are and what your lane is.
Let's make Wakanda real, okay? Nobody can tell us who we are. You know, we get to define who we are. Live your life not to necessarily dispel myths or misconceptions about us, but be your God-given self. And, you know, with that comes a particular responsibility to our community. Live in that, love who you are, get the hate out your heart, support your own. I mean, support your own fully. Support Black business. whenever you see, I guess, something that's not where what it should be, address it right then, and you don't have to address it in a negative way. Like, you can address it positively. Don't feed into the myths. Don't feed into our misconceptions or the misconceptions about us. Most importantly, just love yourself. And remember, God is love.